So Christmas Day is December 25th. And how are you going to know when it's December 25th? It's not super hard, right? What things tell us? How do we know? Abby? On calendars, right? Your calendar will say Christmas Day right on it, right on December 25th. And because it's right there on the calendar, we can count down the days. We know exactly how long it will be. Anybody happen to know how many days until Christmas right now? What do you think? Very close. I have it on good authority that it is 28 days, 13 hours, 18 minutes, and 26 seconds until Christmas. So we can know really exactly when our celebration starts. But before the Lord was ever born, thousands of years ago, how would people have known that he was coming? Do they have calendars with the Lord's birthday written on them? No. I see shaking heads. No. They certainly didn't have phones with a countdown. How would they have known? How would they have known that the Lord was coming? What was that? They were prophets, exactly. They were prophets who had spoken prophecies saying that something special was coming. And prophets were people that were understood to be messengers of the Lord, but they were often sort of strange people. You know, they lived off in the wilderness. They wore strange clothes. They sometimes did strange things. People you would be kind of maybe not quite sure how to act around because they were not always normal seeming. But people listened when they spoke because when they spoke, people recognized these words are from the Lord. And when the prophets spoke and people listened, they heard hints, they heard signs. Something special is going to happen. Someone special is going to be born. I already said one of the prophecies when I opened the Word. The Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin shall conceive and bear a son and call his name Emmanuel. That virgin is Mary, and her son was called Emmanuel, and Emmanuel means God with us. So people heard that prophecy and they knew the Lord is going to be with us. What I'm going to do now is read another prophecy. And what I want you to do is forget that you know exactly when Christmas is. Try and imagine that you're someone thousands of years ago who doesn't yet know exactly when and how the Lord is coming. You don't know any of the Christmas story yet. Listen to these words like you're hearing them from the prophet for the first time. Listen for what you hear. Nevertheless, the gloom will not be upon her who is distressed, as when at first he lightly esteemed the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward more heavily oppressed her by way of the sea beyond the Jordan and Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, upon them a light has shined. You have multiplied the nation and increased its joy. They rejoice before you according to the joy of harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For you have broken the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every warrior's sandal from the noisy battle and garments rolled in blood will be used for burning and fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given. And the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, God, the Mighty One, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end, upon the throne of David and over his kingdom, to order it and establish it with judgment and justice from that time forward, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. So what did you hear? A lot of stuff at the beginning that didn't really make sense, right? Not everything that the prophets said was very easy to understand. There was stuff about Zebulun and Naphtali. You have to really, really study the word deeply to understand what that means. And then there was something about a light shining in the darkness, and okay, that makes sense. That sounds good. Light shining in the darkness is good. And then there was more that was confusing about noisy battles. And then it said, a child is born. Unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given. That we can get, right? And his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, God, the Mighty One, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And those can only be the names of the Lord. No one else is God. No one else is the Everlasting Father. So the people listening to that prophecy, they would have heard, okay, there's a lot of stuff happening that I don't understand, but I know someone special is going to be born, and that someone special is the Lord. And they still wouldn't have known exactly when he was coming. You notice the prophecy didn't say, and this is when you can expect him. Back before the Lord was born, people had to deal with a lot of uncertainty. But they knew the thing that mattered. They knew that the Lord was coming. And that was the part that the Lord wanted to make sure we understood. When? That's not as important. All that really mattered was that the Lord was coming. And now nowadays, we can be a lot more certain. We can know a lot more exactly what we expect. And sometimes at Christmas time, all of our desire to have things just so comes out really strongly because the decorations on the tree need to look just so, and I need to get exactly this under the tree on December 25th, 28 days and 13 hours from now. Although that would be midnight, but anyway. But the Lord doesn't tell us that that kind of certainty is what matters. He invited his people to let go of all that and just rejoice that something good would happen. And so it's not wrong for us to use Advent calendars to count down for Christmas, but as we are waiting for the Lord's birthday, something we can all try is to find a few moments to push away all of the things we expect, all of the things we want to be just so, and just go back to the simplest part, the only part that the Lord really, really thought mattered. That peace and that trust that something good will happen. That's all. Something good is coming from the Lord. Light will shine in the darkness. His name will be wonderful. Amen.